Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the BizEssentials Podcast. I'm your host, Veronika. Today, we're going to be meeting with Michell DeNio. She's a business strategist and coach who gently guides her clients to follow their passions and grow their business. I'm excited to meet with her today and see how she can help me scale my business and help you grow your business as well. Stay tuned. And don't forget, if you have a question or a problem that needs solved, send me a DM on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter, and I'll be sure to find an expert to answer that question for you.
Tony Robbins once said, "No matter how many mistakes you make or how slow you progress, you are still way ahead of everyone who isn't trying." This is the Biz Essentials. You want to grow, get ahead, keep the spark. Here you'll get valuable insights and empowerment to grow personally and professionally. Isn't it about time you turn your dreams into successful passion projects? Learn how to be productive, be successful, be joyful, and more importantly, be yourself. The B Essentials. This is the Biz Essentials. And this is your host, Veronika of Veronika Ventures.
Good morning. How are you today?
Good. How are you? Thanks so much for having me here. I'm excited to be here.
So why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself and what it is that you do?
Yeah, absolutely. My name's Michell DeNio. I'm a business strategist, business coach. Title, I like to go by business GPS if I'm giving myself a title. And really what I mean by that is, think about it from that perspective. When you go somewhere, you get in the car, you always have your GPS with you, right? Like you can tell your GPS where you're starting and where you're trying to go. And it gives you all the directions, the different options on how to get there. And I really view myself in the same way as far as business. Like, where are you at now? Where are you trying to go? And which route do you want to take to get there? So there's always a different strategy. I really try to find strategies that are, work best with you and are custom and aligned with you and what you want to do in your growth. I think we all define success differently. We all define fully booked differently, whatever that looks like. So I'm originally from upstate New York. My husband and I relocated down to Florida 7 years ago. And I have been full-time with my business for almost 5 years now.
I love the tenets behind your approach because, like you said, a lot of the people don't have the same goals or the same way they want to get there as others. For example, for me, like making money is not my top priority. I'd rather enjoy what I do and help people along the way. What do you see as the number one struggle with entrepreneurs or freelancers when they're struggling or don't know where to go?
A lot of times the biggest struggle I think I see is that most of the time as entrepreneurs, we become entrepreneurs because we have a passion for something, we have a skill behind something. And so we just dive in, right? Dive in with both feet, say yes to everything. Like, yeah, sure, I can do that. Okay, sounds great. Yeah, that's great. And then they get to this point with, oh my gosh, now what, right? Now what? I have no structure for my business. It's growing. It's been successful. I'm making money. But now what? Like, how do I get beyond this point? It's that feeling stuck of, I got myself this far, but I really don't know what to do now. And or they're feeling burnt out because they're taking on a process, like you said, that more cookie cutter approach of, I've tried this, it's not working. And, the reality is that every business model works. Whether it's memberships or one-to-many or one-on-one, whatever, they all work in their own respective way, and they can all be scaled in their own respective way. But the reason they don't work is a lot of times is because it's not aligned with you. It's not how you best serve. It's not how you best show up. It's not how it's not what you enjoy. To go through a live launch method where you have to show up on video 5 days in a row. If you hate being on video, it's never going to work, right? Because you're never going to be able to show up with your best energy. And so it's really about figuring out, like, what is it that you enjoy? And the biggest struggle is really helping entrepreneurs or get that clarity to say, like, yeah, you're right. I am doing this and I don't really like it. I'm doing it because I'm good at it. I'm doing it because somebody asked me to, but I don't really love it.
Are you reading my mind, Michelle? No, that's absolutely true. People who have been following me for a long time know that I always say, follow your passion and follow what sparks joy in you, because I believe that everyone has that in some capacity or another. And if they do it, that's really what they're made to do. That's why they have that passion and that drive. So it's almost as if we owe it to ourselves and to the world to follow our passions and find a way to make that work for us in our lives. So that's really awesome that you encourage your clients to do that as well, because there's a lot of people who may have started with a passion, like you said, but eventually get to some place that they don't want to be. When they get to that place, or they get to the tippy top of what they're able to do as a solopreneur by themselves, how do you scale a business that is service-based? Like, for example, me, I'm a consultant. I am the commodity. How do you scale something like that?
Yeah, I think it depends. Like you said in the beginning, like making money is not your top priority, right? Like I have certain clients who they want to hit high ticket big numbers, and then there's other clients, and I'm the same way of myself. Like time is way more important to me than money. So I think it really, one of the things is getting clear on exactly what that looks like. What is it that you're trying to do? And sometimes it's as simple as like raising your price, but really where I find the biggest and the easiest way to scale or help service-based entrepreneurs get beyond that level is getting beyond the point of time for dollar trade style packages to value based or outcome based, getting into that mindset of I'm providing a service and I'm giving value to this person, and it's not about how much time I'm spending with them, it's about what I'm giving them in return. For a virtual assistant per se, it's about what tasks are you taking off of me. I don't really care how much time it takes you to do it, because all I care about is how much time you're saving me. So when you can get into that more outcome based or value based packaging, where it's very simplified, it's very, here's what I offer, this is what I do, here's what you can expect in return for this, and this is the cost or this is the investment, you can actually scale that a little bit easier from a one-to-one standpoint. The other thing is that you can take on the one-to-many approach if you like that. Another biz model I think that works really, really well for service-based, depending, is the VIP day, or like that done for you in a day. You can take on one client per day, bang out and maximize your time with that. And then you can charge a little bit premium price because they're paying for speed, right? So there's a lot of different ways. It's really about, again, like, what is the business model that you enjoy? Do you like serving one to many, or do you want to stay in the one-to-one format?
So Michelle, what would you say makes your approach different?
Really, my approach, I think, is different in the sense that I really focus on the service provider first versus the client. I view out of the box business strategy like a job. If you want to be told what to do, when to do it, and how to do it, go get a job and have a steady paycheck. That's 100% how I feel, because that's what a job is, right? Like, you get there, they tell you what to do, when to do it, and how to do it, and then they pay you in return. We didn't get into business for that. We got into business because we want to create something of our own. We want to have a little bit more freedom and flexibility, and whatever that looks like for you. And so I really focus on the individual first, the person, the service provider, the entrepreneur first, versus client based. I don't really care what the clients are asking for. I don't care what everybody's saying you should do, because the reality is there's clients out there for everybody. There's how many billions of people in this world. The clients are going to be attracted to you when you are standing in your most confident self and when you are showing up in your most authentic way. And so there's clients out there for everybody. Like, if they want to be in a group program and you don't enjoy group programs, well, guess what? There's other coaches out there or other service providers out there that will do and facilitate group programs. And there's also clients out there that thrive on the one-to-one space if that's what you like, right? So you can focus on what it is that you do and how you best serve, and then go out and market to your clients. Because when you can do that, you can speak so clearly about, here's who I am, here's who I serve, and here's how I show up. Are you a good fit or not? Versus trying to be somebody that accommodates everybody. That it's so difficult. And the reality is that, again, there's billions of people in this world. Every one of us is going to have a different want, a different need, I think, well, what about this? Could you customize this package? There's always going to be those people, right? You cannot serve that, and you can't scale that. When you're doing everything so customized, it's impossible to scale. So it's really about focusing within. And so that's where I try to find that approach, is like, it's customized to you and what you want and what you're looking to do. Like I said, like with the GPS model, like when you get in your car, Google will tell you, like, this route takes tolls. Do you want to pay tolls or do you want to avoid the tolls? This runs faster, but you got to pay for it. This one's a little slower. It's scenic. You can do the same in your business. It's really up to you. And that's the slightly different approach, is not the, okay, here's who you're serving. This is what they're asking you for, so you need to go do this. No. What is it that you enjoy doing? Create the business that you love from what you're passionate about and how you want to show up.
That's a fascinating point, because it's almost as if you're running your business from a place of abundance rather than a place of scarcity. So you're putting out your own energy and bringing the people who that attracts, and knowing that if you show up as your authentic self, then you'll be where you want to be.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's always people out there. There's somebody out there for everybody. Like, you don't have to be that person to every. The right person will be attracted to you when you can show up as your most authentic self.
What would you say is your ideal client?
Ideal client is solopreneur, freelancer. Like, I love working with that individual that is just so passionate about what they do, and they just live, eat, breathe, and die what they're passionate about, and they're just stuck. Like, they know they need help. They've gotten themselves so far, right? That's where they're at. They're that ideal client. Honestly, it's personality based versus like niche or, industry specific. It's ideally service based. I don't do a lot in the product or e-commerce space, but it's really, to me, more about personality. Like, do we vibe well? Or do you learn in the way that I best teach? I best teach on video and in conversation and just kind of off the cuff strategizing in my head. Like, if you don't learn in that way, then we're not going to be a good fit. So it's really more to me about making sure, like, personality perspectives, and that we can vibe well, and that you're committed to your own growth. That is ideal, is that somebody's got to be committed to the growth of their business, committed to say, like, I'm open-minded. I understand some of this is going to be really tough. I understand you're going to push me outside of my comfort zone, but that's what I'm here for. Working with a coach it's a vulnerable place to be. It's a push sometimes to do the scary things. And I get that, and I can respect that, and I honor that, but you've got to be willing to be pushed, because it's the only way you're going to grow.
Before I lived from a place of abundance, I was very budget minded. So what do you say to people who just don't get why they should get a coach? Obviously, they might not be the right fit for you, but what would you say to someone who has that objection?
Well, here's the thing. I never want to encourage people to put themselves into debt or put yourself in a stressful financial situation. There's absolutely no reason for that. I know that there's a lot of coaches out there that will tell you that you've got to be willing to, make that scary leap. But you know what? We all have bills to pay. We have families to take care of. So number one, make sure that it's financially, it's a little bit of a stretch, but also not going to be detrimental to you. Number one, I get that. But the difference is think about it in that same way, like with your GPS, and that's why I use that analogy so much, because it's so easy to relate to. Yes, you can get from point A to point B. You can go on a cross-country road trip with no plan. You really can. You can drive from Florida to California, and you could figure it out. And you could take a lot of wrong turns, and you can stop and ask for directions. And this person's going to tell you to go this way, and this person's going to tell you to go this way. And eventually you're going to get there. But with your GPS, it's telling you step by step, I need you to go 6 miles, then turn right. And when you get there, then you're going to drive another 3 miles and you're going to turn left. And you're going to get there in the fastest and most efficient route possible, right? That's essentially what bringing a coach on does for you. Yes, you can piece it together. Yes, you can get across the country on your own, but getting there with a coach or somebody that can help guide you and also say, oops, sorry, you turn ahead. Like, you made a wrong turn. It's okay. Spin back around and we'll start over. That's truly how I feel about coaching, is that it's that GPS in your back pocket that's always guiding you on what's your next step. My job is to say, okay, you got to get out of your driveway into the store. When you get to the store, I'm going to give you the next step. Making it so bite-sized so that it's not overwhelming. That's really where I feel a coach comes in. It's about the efficiency of it, and it's about doing it in the fastest way. Like, your growth can just be expedited because you've got somebody there in your back pocket all the time.
So I'm going to share with you a little story. I have a coach of my own, and the consulting thing is somewhat new to me. I've been doing it for a long time, but not as a business. My confidence was low, and I love helping people, so I would just do it. And so I was drafting this proposal that ended up being like 10 pages long. I had done everything in that project before, just not all in one package for one client. And I came up with a number. And so I told my coach, and she's like, that is way, way, way too low. Rethink it. So I came back with another number, up, and like, it was so uncomfortable for me, like incredibly uncomfortable. Even when I was telling the person, I'm like, this is my least favorite part. I'm sorry. And I sent them over like the pricing. And she goes, you are offering a solution. Don't be sorry. And so that gave me a lot of confidence too. But I got probably about 5 times more than I would have had I gone with my original number. That alone paid for the coach. Well over.
Exactly. And that's, that's another key point right there, is that like a coach can see in you what you can't see in yourself. A coach can say, where did this come from? Why? And I always try to ask, like, is it something that you feel comfortable with? Did you just pull a number out of the air? Did you just, you know what I mean? Like, where is it coming from? And a lot of times I don't think people really truly see themselves as the experts that they are. And that's my favorite parts of saying, like, no, do you realize what you're bringing to the table? Like, do you realize that I just sat here and struggled? Like, if it's a tech VA or somebody like that, web design, like my website is all mismatched colors because I've been trying to DIY it, so like you're making me look more professional. You're saving me hours of time from having to do it myself, and poorly because I don't know what I'm doing. I just really love seeing and saying, like, don't tell me you don't have enough experience, because you have more experience than I do, and that you have more experience than your clients, right? You only have to stay 1 week ahead of your clients. If you're a week ahead of your clients, you have more experience than them. You're still an expert. Like, don't discredit your level of expertise. I really don't care how much experience you've had or how many clients you've had under your belt. If you can show up confidently and tell me, hey, I can help you with this, that's the confidence that sells. Your experience, yes, you've got to have some, but we all start somewhere too, right? We all have to have that first client. So don't discredit that just because maybe somebody else has 10 clients under the belt and you have one. Doesn't matter. You're still more experienced than your client. That's why they're hiring you.
That makes absolute sense. We often don't see what we have as a skill because, like, for me, it would come easy. I never knew it was a skill until I found people that didn't know how to do it. That to me was a huge eye opener, but mostly it was really the confidence situation for me personally. Like you mentioned, where you can push your clients out of the comfort zone. I think a lot of us need that. Once I started realizing that all the people that I looked up to in the business world and in the personal world all had coaches, I was like, I need a coach.
I like working with those clients that have that passion to serve, have that passion to help, and just need to know that it's okay to charge too. I think that's the other thing, is I just want to help. Right. You want to help, but that's okay. It's okay to charge for that help too.
Right. That's still something I'm working on. No. Luckily, my coach is helping me through it.
It's tough. I give too much. My coach told me I was too generous. I was like, there's no such thing as too generous. And she's like, are you sure about that? I'm like, I'm pretty sure. It all comes back. It's a place of abundance versus scarcity. And you just got to go with it and trust that what you're doing will reap benefits and pay off tenfold somewhere down the line.
Absolutely. Anything else that you would like to touch on?
If anybody has any questions, or even if you're just looking, you're listening to this episode and saying, but how do I find that passion, or how do I really find what I most enjoy? Like, it seems easy. One thing I would just say is, if you're in that place of feeling kind of stuck or not really sure, or where does it go, I would really encourage you to go through every single client that you've had and just write down on a piece of paper, not in your head. In my head is not a strategy. I have so many clients say, well, in my head. No, in my head is not a strategy. So get it on paper. Go through your clients and write down every specific small little thing that you've ever done for them. What did you help them do? Did you get on the phone with them? What tasks did you provide for them if you're a service provider? How did you help them? What problems did they come to you with? Write down and brain dump as much of it as possible. And then look at your list and go, you know what? I loved this. Or if you don't really want to look at it from a skills perspective, look at it from a client perspective. Go through and look at your client list and look at your top 5. Pick out your top 5 favorite clients. And that's not being rude. We all have clients that we love working with more than others. It's just the way of the world. It doesn't mean they're bad people. It just means that some clients you click better with. Make your list of your top 3 or 5 clients. And then from that list, then write why. What is it about them that made them a top, like your favorite client? Was it because they were action takers? Was it because they were open? Was it because that you could get vulnerable with them? What about it did you love about them? Because now change your messaging up to attract more of them. But you have to be able to identify what it is that you loved about them first. So whether it's skills that you love, that you have for clients, or if it's personality type clients, that you enjoy, I really encourage you to go through and take the time to reflect on that, get it out of your head, because when you can see it on paper, it's a totally different ballgame.
Wow, that's an amazing insight, because I think I'm going to go try that right now.
It's okay to also identify all of the things you never want to do again, because sometimes that's even creates a lot more clarity to say, I did this and I don't want to work with that. And, if I were to give my own example, I worked with a couple of photographers, not my jam. Not that they're bad people. I don't work well with that industry. So it's okay to say, I'm sorry, but I don't work with photographers. Okay. Been there, done that. I'm not doing it again. So if there's certain things that come up on that list that you go, I never want to do that again, put it on your non-negotiables. And that way, when a client comes to you and says, can I do this? You can easily say, I'm sorry, I don't provide that service.
That's also amazing, because I think a lot of us, especially solopreneurs and people who are starting out in business, don't ever want to turn away business. It's like, you're like, okay, I'll do it. I'll do whatever you want. Like, to have that clarity and confidence to go forth and just say, nope, that's not my jam, I think would be very valuable. You've actually provided a lot of valuable insight for me today. I'm going to go back through here and take notes. I know that you have a podcast as well. What is the name of your podcast and where can people find it?
Yeah, absolutely. You can find it at strategyinSmallDoses.com. That's the name of the podcast as well. You can find it on all the major platforms, Strategy in Small Doses. Episodes are all short, less than 8 minutes about. I just started bringing some guests on. Up until this point, they've been solo episodes. The guest episodes are about 15, but still very small, very short, very sweet, to the point, very just action tips. And a lot of them come from conversations like this or conversations with a client, because I just really feel like if one person's struggling with it, somebody else probably is too. And so my goal is just to give you those quick little action bites that you can take, whether it's about raising your prices, which business model is good for you, or simply just give yourself permission to unplug. It's life and biz. So absolutely, I would love for you to check it out. Strategy in Small Doses.
And for those of you who are listening on the podcast, I will go ahead and put that in the show notes so that you can find her easily. Michelle, I want to thank you so much for being here today. And I'm going to go check out your podcast, because the small doses part is awesome, because you can just fit it in anywhere, right? Like, I have 10 minutes at the doctor's office. I'm going to listen to and learn something awesome. But I want to thank you so much for being here today. We'll be right back after this. That was the BizEssentials podcast for today, and we spoke with Michelle. I'm going to hang up right now and go try that tip that she gave us. Write down all the things that you love to do, either for your clients or the clients that you worked with that you loved, and find the things that they have in common so that you know what your passion is. What is it that you love about your job? See you next time on the BizEssentials.
You've been listening to the Biz Essentials. Thanks for listening to the show. We hope you've gotten some useful and practical information, learning how to be productive, be successful, be joyful, and more importantly, be yourself, and turning your dreams into successful passion projects. By listening to this show, you've already set into motion the most important part, starting. So it's important to catch the next episode. Make sure to like, rate, and review the show. In the meantime, hook up with us on social media at Veronika Ventures and at the Biz Essentials. Till next time, this is the Biz Essentials.
Today's quote of the day is by Oprah Winfrey. Passion is energy. Feel the power that comes from focusing on what excites you. So go out there and find that passion, and catch you next time on the BizEssentials.